In today's video, we're taking a look at a very interesting super shoe. Yes, we are looking at the top of the line shoe from New Balance, the New Balance RC Elite V2. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, a medical student and triathlete based in London. On this channel, we talk all things triathlon, including shoe reviews just like this one. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Yesterday, I've got my initial thoughts on this shoe right here, the New Balance RC Elite V2. Not the newest shoe, I must admit, but one I've had a chance to run it a few times now, and I think I've got some interesting thoughts to share with you all. And we're going to compare this very briefly at the end to some of the other super shoes that I've tried. Just some brief stats to start with on this shoe. In my men's UK size 9, it comes in at 219 grams, which is pretty competitive with a lot of the other current super shoes. You have 39 millimeters in the heel and 31 millimeters of foam in the forefoot, giving us an 8 millimeter drop. So this is all sounding very similar to our Nikes and our Adidases, all the other kind of really big current marathon and half marathon racing super shoes. And it has a price to match, coming in at the full retail price of £210, which it puts it pretty much in between the Adios Pro 2s, the Adios Pro 3s, the Nike Vaporflies, all of those kind of super shoes. So far, I've run about 35k in this, spread over 2 runs, one shorter run and one longer run with some half marathon paced efforts. Let's dive into this very snazzy looking upper first. And in the upper of the New Balance RC Elite V2, we have, as with all super shoes, a really nice knit material. It's quite thin in the toe box is what I would say, with lots of quite substantial holes for ventilation. I found the fit of this upper really comfortable. It's quite snug, but not in a bad way. It just kind of hugs your foot to the point where you never feel it rubbing or kind of pinching you over the forefoot. It just seems to be there, present throughout, but not in a bad way. I thought the lockdown in this shoe was really, really good. I was a little apprehensive when it first arrived because the tongue is incredibly thin. It's pretty much just one piece of a felt-like material with no extra padding, and I was a little bit worried about how much those laces would dig in. You know, am I going to get a good lockdown? Am I going to have to leave the laces slightly looser than I would want because they're pressing on top of my foot? But surprisingly, it felt absolutely brilliant the whole way through. I've had no pressure sores, no nothing on top of that tongue, and we also have some extra eyelets right at the top for those runner's knot, although I haven't found that necessary too far. Only thing I would say is that tongue might be a slight bit short, so I'm not sure a runner's knot would be too comfortable, but with just a normal knot using the eyelets that it comes pre-laced in, the kind of second from the end ones, I've had absolutely no problems with that. But it's something to keep in mind if you use a runner's knot on all of your shoes. As we turn our attention to the heel of this shoe, it's got a pretty decent amount of padding. It's not cushioned, don't get me wrong, but there's a nice amount. It comes quite far forward along that heel collar up to pretty much the front of the heel collar and back down, while not being overly present. The bottom doesn't have any extra cushioning. It is the right amount of cushioning, in my opinion, for a shoe like this. And we've got this nice big heel flare. I don't know why it's there. I don't think it does anything for me, considering the kind of padding is kind of throughout that, but it looks kind of cool. I think it definitely gives the shoe a distinctive look along with the foam. I went true to size in this shoe, UK size 9, and it was absolutely perfect. That's what I do with all of my running shoes, and I haven't had a problem with this one. Onto the midsole now, and in this shoe we have fuel cell foam. Now this is New Balance's top of the line foam, and it is squishy. We'll cover that in a second, but like I said at the start of the video, 39 millimeters in the heel, 31 in the forefoot, and that's an 8 millimeter drop, really brushing right up against that limit of 40 millimeters in the heel. But this foam is really squishy. Even just holding it, I can kind of squidge my fingers in it and it just kind of bounces back, and you definitely feel that when you're running in this shoe in a really, really nice way. As soon as you hit the ground, you kind of squidge in a little bit. It's not you know, you're not sinking into it, but you're kind of bouncing off of it really nicely, so it makes each step quite light and has a lot of energy return. In this midsole, we also have a carbon plate. You can see it through this little window right there. And this is a full length, one piece carbon plate. It's not too present is what I would say. I'd say it's a medium stiffness carbon plate. You know, it's got a bit of give to it, and certainly after 30k, it's got a bit of give to it, and it doesn't feel too present. I think, you know, whatever way they've got the carbon in there pairs really nicely with how bouncy this foam is. They work together really well to make it a very comfortable ride while also maintaining a lot of energy return. The only downside of this midsole is just how slightly unstable it feels, and that's very strange because I've run in a lot of shoes that have kind of 39, 38 millimeter stack heights in the heel, and this is one of the only ones I've felt unstable in, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the outsole. I don't know if it's because it's quite a narrow shoe, but going around corners at speed at my kind of half marathon or 10k pace in my longer progressing run that I did in this shoe to test it out initially, something about going around turning on this didn't leave me super confident. It didn't inspire confidence. And so if you've had problems with kind of higher stacked shoes in the past, I might say this might not be the one for you, although try it out and see, because some people might thrive in this, but this one just didn't quite hit the mark in that respect for me. And finally, let's talk about the outsole of this shoe. And as you can immediately see, it looks like every single other super shoe that we've reviewed on this channel. Big bit of rubber at the forefoot, 2 pieces of rubber at the rear, and a lot of exposed foam. And normally I say that that is great. However, in this time, I don't know what it is, but the rubber in this did not work very well. It's fine. The traction is fine in dry conditions. I'm running on road, I'm running on kind of loose or hard packed gravel. Absolutely fine, no problems with it. Even across kind of cobblestones, this was fine. As soon as it gets wet, especially over any kind of flat surface, it just really struggles. And I haven't had that in any of my other super shoes with this kind of pattern of rubber, but this one really struggled. I had a little bit of rain towards the end of my long progressing run, and I was kind of getting up to 10k pace, and this just would not have it. I was slipping and sliding, and that really accentuated how unstable the stack in this shoe can feel at some times, especially going around some corner. There's one section that's on, you know, modern cobbles, kind of a cobble paved road. I was really struggling even to run in a straight line at any sort of pace. That's just my experience. I don't know if other people have had that same experience. If you love the traction in this shoe, then, you know, drop a message in the comment down below. I'd be really interested to hear that. Tell me what kind of paces you're running, what kind of surfaces you're running about. Have you run in this in the rain? Maybe that's a one-off. And if you want to see some further reviews when I take this up to 100 miles, then hit that subscribe button down below. Not only will you see this review, but it really helps out the channel as well. So overall, I really enjoyed the upper and the midsole of this shoe. I just wasn't confident from that outsole, and that let down the shoe just a tiny bit. Finally, in this review, let's talk value. Now, this comes in at £210 retail, although I have seen it for around 150, 160-ish here in the UK on discount at the time of recording this video. To put that in perspective, kind of on the top end, we've got the Alpha Fly at around £270, the Vaporfly is £230, we've got the brand new Adios Pro 3s at £220, and then the Adios Pro 2s cheaper than this shoe at £180. Those are the big players in the market. So this sits right in the middle of those. However, I'm not sure they perform quite in the same class as some of those other ones. I just feel like this isn't the shoe that I would be reaching for on race day, and I think that's true of a lot of runners who might reach for our Nikes or our Adidases, whereas I think I'm going to keep using this New Balance for some kind of progressing longer training runs with a bit of pace, that kind of thing. Maybe I'll take it to the track and see how it performs at mile and 5k pace. But I don't think this is going to be the one that I'm going to reach for on race day. I'm going to stick to my Alpha Flies. But I'll experiment and see how it goes. With that said, if you love this shoe and you're racing in it, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear how you're going to use this shoe. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, as it really helps out the channel, and hit subscribe for more triathlon and running shoe content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.